If you want people to pay big bucks, then you've got to understand how to motivate them to action. I'm pulling the secrets from the Silicon Valley tech bros. We've got to fight fire with fire. If you want to sell courses, if you want to sell education, if you want to sell coaching or transformation, you've got to understand that the world is hooked to its devices right now.
Hey everyone, this is Mark DeGrasse, the President of Digital Marketer, and this is the podcast that keeps you up to date on everything you need to know when it comes to digital marketing, from the platforms you're going to be focused on to the cutting edge tactics and tools that are working today. Today, our guest is Marisa Murgatroyd, the founder of Live Your Message and a course creation expert who has actually worked with over 11,000 course creators to generate over $33 million in course sales. So welcome, Marisa.
Thank you. Super stoked to be here. I think this is the third time. So I'm excited to share even new secrets that have been coming up.
Oh, I love it. Let's just launch into it. What are the secrets?
All right. What are the secrets? Well, the main secret is that online courses today are not the same as the online courses that many of us kind of grew up with back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, where you get a giant box of DVDs on your doorstep. Right. And basically, this model has been followed by all the big information marketers, whether it's a Tony Robbins or a Zig Ziglar or Jay Abraham, since the dawn of online courses. But this conception that the value is in the content has continued to persist. But the truth is that the value is not in the amount of content or thought that you deliver. It's in the transformation that you can get for the people who go through your stuff. And so just throwing content into a course is just going to be like a substitute for free videos on YouTube or on Google. So if you want people to pay big bucks, then you've got to understand how to motivate them to action. And the way that I teach people how to motivate them into action is very different than the way a lot of other people teach in terms of creating online courses, and that I'm pulling the secrets from the Silicon Valley tech bros who figured out how to get us addicted to our cell phones and to our devices, oftentimes spending hours, if not days and weeks of every single year, poring over Wordle or Instagram or TikTok or Candy Crush or Tinder or whatever app that you happen to be addicted to. So I believe that we've got to fight fire with fire. If you want to sell courses, if you want to sell education, if you want to sell coaching or transformation, you've got to understand that the world is hooked to its devices right now. And we're not going to go back to the golden age of, classrooms where people are just going to devote hours and hours of time to whatever it is that you have to teach them, unless you're activating those dopamine buttons in their heads, just the way their devices actually do.
Oh, I love that. Well, and just comparing the two, apps to courses, because I think a lot of people think like, okay, I have a concept, I'm going to bring, build an outline, do the system, and I'm just going to, oh God, I'm going to get through all the content. And then now it gets to the marketing side, and that's when the real conversion conversation comes in, but not in the content itself necessarily.
100%.
So is that the basis of how you build the content in the first place, or is that something that happens after you have like an outline?
Yeah, 100%. Well, to answer that question, I wanted to say that a lot of people teach make money with your knowledge and expertise, but the truth is nobody cares about your knowledge and expertise. They care about what you can do for them, what you can help them do, be, feel, have, overcome, or achieve in their lives. So you have to actually frame your course from the start around what I call a course mission, which is what exactly is your course going to allow people to do, be, feel, have, overcome, or achieve? What is that finish line that's so clear and so specific that you could film someone crossing that finish line, right? Which means there needs to be a clear win state. It's not like I'm just going to share everything that I know about online creation, right? Course creation. No, it's not that. It's actually, how can I help you design, launch, and profit from an online course in 12 weeks or less? Can you see the difference?
Oh, yeah. Makes it very clear. Don't make people find or have to seek, what the point of the course is, which sounds so obvious that, how you said it, but a lot of times you just go into it like, I got to get this project done. Let me do the course.
It's not obvious at all, because even a big company like masterclass.com, who you see being advertised all over Facebook, and they've got, all these famous people like the Thomas Keller, the famous chef from French Laundry or whatever it is. Chris Hadfield, teaches space exploration. So when you think of something like that. He's just teaching what he knows about space exploration. But what are you going to do with that if you're not Elon Musk? You know what I'm saying? And so people may buy creativity at whatever $15 a month that they're charging for it, but they don't continue to kind of just buy based on curiosity alone. They actually continue to buy based on the results that they're getting in their lives. And that's why masterclass.com laid off 20% of their staff just this summer, because they're leading with high production. They're leading with celebrities, but none of that stuff matters if you're not getting people real results in their lives. So even though it sounds obvious, no one's really doing this. They're all teaching lynda.com or whatever, where it just learn how to, do something in software. But the truth is that's not what people want to know. It's like, how can you use that software to get a result? And so I like to say that the fastest way to get people to the bottom of your funnel is to get them to the top of the mountain in whatever they're trying to do. And so I teach a very specific formula for doing this that actually puts you in the shoes of the person taking your course and invites them to do something specific. And it's simply what I call the Mission Possible statement. And it's pulled from the movie Mission Impossible, and basically, you know how Tom Cruise picks up the phone and they're like, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to infiltrate the highly secured vault inside the Kremlin in, 12 hours and 52 minutes and 11 seconds, or, world will come to an end, right? And it's so clear and it's so specific and it's so time-based that he makes it happen. He achieves that mission. Well, your students are just like that. So when you use that structure, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is blank. It automatically teleports you into their shoes. And so instead of saying what you want to teach or what you want to deliver, you're saying, what are they going to do through your course, right?
Oh, that's a totally different perspective. And again, now that you say it, it sounds like, oh yeah, of course you're worried about the mission. But yeah, that's kind of the last thing a lot of people think about when they're doing their course creation versus just like, oh, I know how to do this, so I'm going to show you how to do it too. And actually, I did wonder about Masterclass, because you look at it and you're like, man, they got these stars. The topics are amazing. The production is amazing. And they charge $15 a month for access to all of it. And that doesn't actually compute, because if it's that valuable, it's worth way more than $15. Or if you break it down by... It's not.
So there's actually 4 levels of kind of teaching and training and transformation. And the first is called the theoretical, right? Which is just the land of academics, what you can find in free books and YouTube videos, people talking about their craft or their ideas. That doesn't have a lot of value. I mean, how many rich academics do you know? Not a whole lot. The next level is the how-to, which is also the land of free YouTube videos. It's got a little more value, but still not a lot. The next level is the transformational. And the transformational is when you're able to help people get results in their lives. And then the last level, the transcendental, is where you help people change the world and make the change they want to see in the world through your courses. So all of those courses stop at that, theoretical or tactical level. They don't go into the transformational. They don't go into the transcendental. And that's what people pay for, right?
That's amazing.
At least at a higher premium price point, which is, I guess, what I want. And I imagine it's what you want as well.
So one of the concepts that we talk about a lot is getting people those quick wins. So we have like our certified partner program where we teach agencies like, hey, when you're going to get the job, you want to give people a quick win, show them that you can get results. Does this kind of go in line with that in terms of they take the course, they get a quick win, and then they're even
100%.
more into the course?
100%. So I created this experience formula, which is 10 core experiences that you stack into your course to get people into that experience escalation and unstoppable momentum. Mission is the first one. Mission accomplished is the last one. And then you want to drive people from mission to mission accomplished in as straight of a shot as you can with as little information as you can. But along the way, you want to sprinkle in constant wins, which is core experience 4. And what it does is it creates that action reward loop that you see in games where people take action, they get better, they win. They take more action, they get better, they win again, and then onwards and upwards. But what most courses do is they put people into a, kind of basically a watch, give up cycle, because they try to save the win too far down the track, and that just doesn't work. So you want to create wins as quickly as possible, but you actually want to do wins in a very specific way. So a lot of people just think, oh yeah, you get them to win, but it's a little bit more complex than that. And the sense is that you want to basically kind of progress people from small, simple actions and wins to larger and larger actions and wins. So a lot of the research shows that if you can stretch people 4% beyond their current level of skill, you get them into the flow channel where they feel enough confidence to keep going versus paralyzed and overwhelmed. But they also feel stretched enough to not be bored and just go into complacence and like, yeah, whatever, this doesn't really mean much. And so you actually want to create this sort of structure that escalates people up and to do it in a very specific way. And then you want to reinforce those wins. So we actually use a platform called Experientify to reinforce wins by creating a point system. And not just using points, but also using animations and then using the points, the data on who's taking action and not taking action to generate customized emails and voicemails and text messages to people. So we can show that we're actually watching what they're doing and not doing, and then reinforcing the top students and also reinforcing the bottom students by creating what we call Operation Unengaged Student Rescue campaigns. So it's not just about the win. When you're able to use that win as a feedback loop to encourage or reinforce people, and also reinforce that win in 4 ways, which I say visually. If you can watch like, a point counter ticking upwards kinesthetically, where someone's actually checking off a win, then audibly, as you hear a sound effect that you start to kind of reinforce over and over and over again in your course, and people get addicted to these sounds in a good way because they're getting addicted to taking action. And then emotionally, as people are feeling like they're making progress towards their biggest hopes and dreams, and you do it in a way where you're actually moving people into higher and higher levels of action and wins in a very specific kind of way. So I kind of talk about it like being a game master in the Hunger Games, when they're, sending all these like toxic, they're pushing buttons and they're sending like toxic smoke or wild, animals to just knock someone down as soon as they start to gain a little bit of, confidence. I mean, this is doing the reverse. So as soon as someone starts to gain a little momentum, you want to send them the next thing that actually reinforces that momentum and gets them into an upward spiral of unstoppable momentum. So that's kind of how you do it in a beyond just like, oh yeah, just get them to win. I mean, the win is great, but the win for the sake of winning is not meaningful. It's like a slot machine, boom, boom, boom. It starts to get repetitive. But when you can add it into this feedback loop and show how it's one step on the path from mission to mission accomplished, then the wins take on meaning and they gain momentum.
Oh, I love that. Well, and I love the concept of the point system because, we're all video game culture. So you're like, oh yeah, the best games you have are the ones for me where you're building something and you can see how it progresses and expands. How do you actually track this though? So do they get points for say, hey, your homework today is to go online and blah, 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 or what's the system behind it?
Yeah, so we use a software platform that my husband Murray and I created called Experientify, and we only created it after we've been just building systems for ourselves in our own internal courses. And then all our students were like, how can we get your system? Like, oh, I guess we better turn it into a software for you. And it's the only software that's built from the game up to be gamification, the ground up to be gamification first. Like a lot of platforms just tack points on. But when you integrate points in this more advanced way, where you're actually able to generate feedback loops as well, it goes beyond just the sort of surface level gamification that a lot of people do. But that system allows people to mark off, basically, check off when they've completed an action, check off when they've watched a training, check off when they've hit a goal or a milestone, even doing things like, housekeeping, adding something to your calendar, check something off, get 10 points or whatever it happens to be. So it's it's a system that allows people to collect points. It is based on them collecting the points, but we find that them actually checking something off is what triggers the dopamine release versus it automatically happening. You can have it automatically happening in the system, but you can't know when someone's completed a homework assignment unless they're uploading it. So letting them choose when they've finished. And you can actually use that to run things like leaderboards and contests as well. So there are so many different levels at which you can use the points. Now, if you don't want to use a technology, I've done things like at my latest event, I had a star chart and in the back of a binder that I sent people, and we gave them gold stars, and they just put stars on the chart at the end of every session. I said, okay, you can collect 2 stars for the session. And that also allowed people to reinforce the core learning points and progress they made in each and every session. So that's an old school way to do it. And then at the end of the event, I have them create what I call a cheat sheet based on the topic of the event. So they're able to go back and pull all the pieces from the weekend into the cheat sheet. And those things kind of are an offline way to have a similar effect of progress and forward momentum and feeling like you're ending with an actual deliverable or asset in your hands. So you can do this digitally, you can do it offline. There's a lot of different ways to reinforce wins, but it's important that the wins aren't just imaginary wins that happen in your head without any kind of fanfare or celebration. You actually have to slow down and celebrate it. And people ask me, isn't this just like for kids? Do grown adults really want to celebrate wins? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Even more.
Yeah, even more. I mean, I have people who work with audiences of retirees or financial services professionals, even people recovering from, violent crimes. And everyone wants to feel the happiness, the joy, the pleasure that comes from achieving their goals and releasing that dopamine in your brain. So you don't necessarily just have to be a kid or have a fun topic to use these. I mean, I think the more boring or difficult your topic is, the more important it is to reinforce it in these particular ways. It doesn't cheapen what you do. What it does is it just acknowledges that we as humans need to feel like we're winning or we're going to give up.
Yeah, or just stop or quit or get bored or whatever other reason that happens.
Distracted by something more engaging.
TikTok, or whatever it is. So have you found that there's like a set that seems to be better at reinforcing than another set or another option? Because to my mind, just how we've done, say, our certifications in the past is we have our quiz questions and you go through the quiz and you mark them, and it's not fun. Is there a fun way to do it where you've seen way better results?
Yeah, well, I think part of it, and let me just see, I have this video of from one of my students, and we actually kind of create the membership site for our students. And let me go ahead and try to open this really quickly, and then I can actually show you what this looks like. And just give me a second because it's going to take me a moment to get this open. But ask me another question while I get this open, and I can kind of show you what it actually looks like in practice. Sure. Because part of it is just how you reinforce. Like if it's just a quiz question, it can be like, bah, 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 but if it's something a little bit more robust in terms of how the celebration actually works, then it can be more fun. And like I said, just the star chart is kind of exciting for people, even though it's this old school paper format. And when you get into some of the digital star charts, it gets even more exciting. So I am just finding this for you right now. Found it. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen. I know. Sorry, I just talked for long enough to stall. All right, here we go. Boom, boom. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So this is, one of the ways that we teach people to reinforce. So you hear the sound, you see it visually.
Oh, it's a different sound.
Yeah, you can have different point systems. So we often have like a core track and an advanced track, right? You can actually have multiple sort of levels at the same time. So that's what I call XPs and double XPs.
And just for the listeners, we're basically going down a list of this checklist, and it's actually a different sound and different reaction on the software each time something happens, which is, wow, super engaging.
And then you've got celebrations like we just had here. So after they hit a certain one, you could have a celebration that said, wow, you just completed the most challenging, session of this module, way to go. Or wow, you're officially over the halfway point. You're closer to the finish line than you are to the start. Or, oh my God, you did that in record time. Like you could have it say anything that you want to. So we've actually built like a celebration builder, and the celebration builder allows you to create all kinds of, animations, and they're just fun, like because you can reinforce it in just kind of silly ways. Like I'll show you, I mean, this is one of my favorite ones, which is just kind of ridiculous, but it's fun. Here we go.
It's is that a monkey doing military presses with a barbell?
It is a monkey doing military presses, but there are like millions of animations online, and we just pull from a free directory of them. So you can put in whatever animations and sound effects you want. So whether your course is spiritual or personal development, whether it is, hardcore biz up, or whether it's about relationships, you just find things that are relevant. And then you attach a relevant animation with a relevant sound, the relevant message. And you can even customize it to people with insert codes. Congratulations, Mark. You just hit your 13th, whatever it is, milestone.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that. But here's the big question. So our industry course creation usually has an 80% uncompleted rate.
And that's generous.
That's generous. That's being really nice about it. Have you seen like a average rate that you actually have completions versus the industry standard?
100%. So I've heard that the industry standard is closer to a 3% completion rate.
It is.
And I see a 10 to 30 times spike when people use these principles, depending on how much you integrate them. So I've seen anything from like, let's say 10 times 3 is like 33%, all the way up to like 97%.
Wow.
So depending obviously on the duration of the course, the complexity of how big of an action are you asking people to take, but we regularly see 10 to 30 times the level of completion by using these techniques and stacking them together. And that's what really matters. It's not one thing. It's not just adding points, but it's actually designing the thing from the ground up so people know what winning looks like, and then they feel like they're reinforced every step of the way. They know what they're doing and why they're doing and how they're going to get there. And then they're celebrated along the way, and also kind of reinforced when they fall behind. Then you also overcome the challenges that people face along the way. If you do all of these things, you can start to get those 30x numbers.
That's amazing. Yeah, well, just the impact, and people are spending so much time on the content itself without thinking about this, the user experience, that I could see why would they get more than the 3% completion rate? It's boring.
Yeah. Well, beyond the impact, and the impact is my driver, but I know some of you are also driven by money and all sorts of other things, right? And just acknowledgement and recognition is that, we're able to, a lot of times people will end up 10xing their customer lifetime values. They will drop their refund rates by 90%. They'll see referrals spike. I mean, one of my courses that has 5,000 students, guess how many testimonials that were submitted from 5,000 students?
I'm going to say 1,000.
2,034. And this is automatically submitted. So we had over 40% of our students automatically submit a success story. And they have to submit these within the 12 weeks of the program. And I've heard from a lot of people who didn't submit like during the program, but then like a month later or 2 months later or 3 months later did a $40,000 launch or whatever it happens to be.
That's incredible. Yeah. You can't even picture that. So does this process work for existing courses? Somebody has a course underperforming, could they use this?
Yeah, 100%. So we've had a lot of people go through this who have existing product lines that are already successful. People like JJ Virgin, people like, Vishen Lakiani, people like Landon Ray, who've gone through and then want to apply this to an existing platform, even Vimeo, And so, yes, you can add some of the experientification elements on top of an existing course and then take it to the next level. And the biggest gains happen when you're able to structure the course around a clear win state. Does that make sense? Because people can't feel like they're going to win the game if they don't know what winning looks like. And a lot of courses don't have a clear win. So sometimes that when you structure that into the content itself, not just the course as a whole, but every module, every session within the course, this is kind of a set of principles that you can apply both on a macro level and a micro level, kind of it's fractal. So you apply it to the whole container of the course, but also every single piece within it. And when you do that, you really see the biggest gains. However, simply sprinkling a few of these dopamine buttons on top of what you're already doing, you can see massive gains.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, and for some organizations like, Digital Marketer, we have 300 plus courses and so on and so forth. Do you see it still works if you apply it to individual courses versus having some kind of standardized policy for applying it to all courses?
Yeah, 100%. Basically, if you apply it just to whatever you want to optimize, apply it to that one. And then eventually, what I've done now is I wish I had, I'm in a VRBO, otherwise I'd show you. Maybe I can still show you. But I have now kind of created a gamification system for our entire course universe. So I started with just individual courses, but now I've looked at our entire integrated product suite and how do we apply it to the whole suite. So it's called the universe. I think it's called the Live Your Message universe. Let me see if I can find it really quickly and show you how I created a system using kind of pins that allow people to progress through the entire universe. I'll see if I can find that while you come up with another question. This time I think I will absolutely need you to stall.
Well, I think just for us, because I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, how can we apply this to digital marketer is we have, a set of courses. The main courses we sell are the certifications. So we have the social media certification, content certification, analytics certification, so on and so forth. They're all supposed to fit together into a cohesive system so that when you take one, you're actually adding to your greater knowledge in the bigger picture, the 12, right? So I think for me, I'd be like, okay, well, how do I take this point system and how do I apply it to multiple courses at once? So we could say like, you're a level 10,000 marketer because you've completed all these things.
100%. 100%. Well, I'm still looking for that, my pin board. I call it the pin board because this is where, and we actually use this. Oh, it looks like I have a pin board folder. We use this with with physical, recognition too, where people are actually almost like Girl Scout or Boy Scout style.
Badges.
Oh yeah.
Pins.
So I found a piece of it. It's not exactly the full, one because it's got a cheat sheet, but this is sort of like the best I can find by doing just a quick search on my computer. But let me go ahead and share my screen really quickly. All right. So, and this is sort of my proof of concept version. So it was in a dedicated box that's now says win the game of business on top of it too. So let me see if I can find the real one. But basically every course, when you complete the mission of that course, you get a pin starting with, our Start With You course, which is finding that business idea, what I call the True North business idea. They get the compass pin, then Experience Product Master Class. They get their wings when they make their first dollar. Then Momentum Activate when they actually, start to make $2,500 a month. They get their hot air balloon and basically onwards and upwards up until like $1 million course, they get their rocket pin. And we actually have a system behind this that kind of shows as well how this works. So
it's amazing. Well,
and we send them in the box. We have little boxes with the next pin and they get to level up along the way too. So I've got to find the whole cheat sheet because that's where you get to see how the whole system is integrated and it includes all of our courses and all of our programs. Because of that, we have people who will invest like $60,000, $70,000 with us, over the course of a number of years. We have people who've been in our year-long program 6 years in a row because of this, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, and you're just reinforcing that all the time by giving them the rewards for being part of it. And we do have members that, like that, but we don't give them the progressive system of accomplishment, which is, it's a way to indoctrinate people into the brand itself and not just the materials, which is a marketing
100%,
function.
100%. So yeah, I wish I could find this whole thing, but I think naming conventions sometimes vary.
Yeah, well, you go through the brainstorming process and came up with like 50, and then you had to narrow it down. That's incredible, though. I think in terms of a course completion rate, the organization building, I think that's always the biggest part because a lot of people think like, oh, well, you don't want to keep going back to your same customer over and over again and draining the well or whatever it is. But it's like, no, these people are going to spend money on stuff no matter what, and you've already invested all this time and effort into them. So the more you can provide them, the better, and they'll be happy. Everybody will win. And there you go. And you get a neat pin to put on your hat or whatever.
100%, 100%. And I did find it because I did find it. So let me go ahead and share my screen one more time and then kind of show you. And even we've got the kind of box. So, because I think sometimes having the actual examples, the physical examples can be super helpful, Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have to start and stop my screen share a little bit because these are all in sort of different formats. So the custom box that we have, says win the game of business. So what I call this is the ultimate result of your brand. So it's the brand promise that you make. And so you want to integrate all your products under an overarching brand promise. So everybody knows what does not just winning the game of an individual course, but winning digital marketer look like, for example, right? So what does that look like? And once you have that, you kind of keep going, and then you figure out, okay, well, what does winning each individual course itself look like? And let me go ahead and share my screen, or each program within your ecosystem look like. So here you go. So you can kind of see, we have all of these pre-revenue, make your first dollar, 0 to 29,000, 30 to 59,000, create consistent one-to-one income, gain leverage with one to few, scale with one to many, build unstoppable momentum. And your mission is to build momentum, increase your leverage, grow your revenue, make a bigger impact, and take your business to new heights as you progress through each stage of business growth. Remember to collect each success path pin as a reminder of how far you've come. And so in this, you also end up having like a cheat sheet so people can see, well, each of these wins is associated with what program, what stage of business growth, what revenue growth, what overarching goal. And then there's like a symbol for it. And so I even record a video like in an astronaut suit talking about how we're going to break the Kármán line going from Earth into space and how far they can go with their business. And it becomes this theme that goes through your whole world. And so people feel like they're on this real journey. It's the online business success path that they can only find here in our world. And then we get to send them the pins that we got with kind of special boxes, and each pin is on a little pin board that says win the game of business. So it kind of gains momentum through not just a course, but the business as a whole.
I love that. Well, and the reinforcing and from a creative perspective, having that kind of central theme, the theme of like, altitude and growth and reaching new heights is just consistent. And just from an operational perspective, it makes that process so much easier. Because I'm sure since you've done this so many times, when it actually came to designing and naming these different components, it was probably pretty obvious.
Yeah, once we got there, for sure. And what I will say is that, they say that first, repeat buyers they're 12 times easier to turn a buyer into a repeat buyer, and they're 16 times more profitable. So what I saw is that when we did this and we really took it seriously and we doubled down on creating that pathway through our entire ecosystem, our profitability in the company went way up. Does that make sense? So before, we might have the revenue, but the profit was not as high because we were putting it all into advertisements and things like this. And now with people buying over and over and over again, year after year after year after year, and having that brand loyalty, the profitability of the company has gone really way up.
That's amazing. Well, and I'll tell you what, I'll tell you exactly what happens if you don't have this type of system in place. Is you're dependent on every product you release hitting it. Like, it has to be awesome, has to be perfect, and it has to be profitable individually. And that's not going to lead to any benefit to a future course. It's just going to lead to selling that course. And so I love your system because it just expands the scope of what people can get without actually doing more work. You still create the courses, you still do these different things, but now everybody's along for the ride and is encouraged through these rewards and the community building and the recognition. And I'm sure people take those pins and post them all over the internet.
Yeah, people have like little shrines and altars of all the different things. And it's not just pins. We have, I could show you more stuff. I'd have to go collect them around. But we have things like postcards that get revealed. We get presents that only get revealed during certain events. We have like anchored gifts. There's so many things that we do that kind of take the experience to the next level. And so people have the shrines with all the different things, whether it's a rubber duck or a custom coin that we've had or a postcard reveal. And, so they have all of these messages and all of these reminders of what it's like to be in our world and how they feel, because Maya Angelou says it's not what you know, it's at the end of the day, it's not what you say, it's how people feel. And so when you understand that, you might be able to get them into your funnel to begin with whatever cool piece of content or one-off course that you got. But when it comes to keeping them for a very long time, then you've got to create that culture and that community and that feeling and that sense of reward and that moving towards something bigger than them and bigger than this individual goal.
I love that. Well, and just having those different components, I'm sure that when you do your events or whatever, somebody wearing the whatever item or carrying the rubber duck or whatever it is, the people who know will say something. And then they instantly get that connection and that dopamine hit of like, oh, we're part of the same group. We're doing the same thing. And that just more reinforces it. And it's a branding piece. So it's just win all over the place. I think
people who don't know, it's a conversation starter.
Oh, and there you go. Another further benefit for the brand itself too. You're like, oh yeah, just go take this course or this challenge, whatever's coming up. Uh, well,
And I gotta say that as a business owner, as a course creator, this is fun. Does that make sense?
I love
So
that.
it's actually just, I get to have so much fun, creating all of these things and then get to watch people move through our world and see how much joy and excitement that they have from it.
Well, and I think for course creators, that's the most rewarding part, is being like, I taught that person to do the thing that they're kicking butt at now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they win, you win, everybody that hears the story wins. It's all win. So I think it's all genius. And I'm going to take your course now, just so you know, because I'm
Okay.
like,
Well, I
oh
just
my gosh,
released a new track. Well, I'm releasing a new track because every year we do a big annual workshop series with a Crack Your Course Idea Challenge and all of this kind of free stuff that I do. But when people actually take the course, I've released a new elite curated track because we've been having a lot of thought leaders and experts who are like, yeah, I already have my idea, I already have my offer. How do I improve it? And then the elite curated track just goes to the deeper, curriculum design, gamification, what I call experientification. It goes beyond gamification because it also goes into psychology, brain hacks, understanding motivation, understanding the science of how we learn. So it's not just about adding points, which is what a lot of people think. Oh, it's just about points. No, it's not just about points. It's understanding how do you motivate an individual human to greater levels of action and success than they've ever had before and that they could ever achieve on their own. Because that's when you become, like universally loved, recognized, right?
indispensable, I would say, where it's like you're not going to get this anywhere else. And so, and I'm sure people try. You probably have a group of people that leave and then end up coming back and being like, I tried everything else and then I'm back here again. That's actually the same reason why people like Digital Marketer, because we've been around for 15 years. We've been saying the same thing for 15 years. Like it's very consistent. It's home. And I think with your system, on top of getting all the rewards from just going through each course and getting those dopamine hits by completing tasks, they get the pins, they get the community, they get all the aspects that they expect from you and can't get anywhere else. So I think what you've built is amazing.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And if you all are interested in checking out this once a year online course creators workshop series and the Crack Your Course Idea Challenge that we have, I think you can go to liveyourmessage.com/DM, standing for digital marketer, and just jump in there and kind of start to see, because everything that I do, and newsflash, this isn't just something that you do in your online courses. This is something that you do in your marketing. I was talking to a data analyst for a kind of major corporation, and these corporations spent millions to realize that if you can actually get people to do 3 things in your marketing, you're able to bypass some of those 5 to 7 touch points, or, that's for one-to-one sales. In the online world, I think it's oftentimes 50 to 150 touch points, not just 5 to 7. You can bypass that if you get people into action. So I actually practice what I preach. And so all of these techniques are running through our free live workshops, our online challenge, our webinars. And it's one of the reasons we convert higher than the industry average in our marketing, is because everything that we do there, we're doing in the front end marketing. So if you want to check out the principles in action, just go to liveyourmessage.com/DM and do it now, because I only do this once a year.
That's amazing. Well, I'm going to do it now, and I'll make sure we get this episode up as soon as possible so everybody else can get started. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I think your concepts are amazing. It sounds like you're executing practicing what you preach, which is always a difficult thing for entrepreneurs, shockingly. But it sounds like you're doing it in every aspect of your business. So I'm a big, consistency person, where I'm like, just do something a lot and you're just killing it. So you're a model that people should be looking towards for their businesses.
Thank you so much. And this is a lot of fun. Thanks for geeking out with me over the last hour.
No problem. Well, I'm sure if you're willing, we always are looking for course creators, and you seem to be a super expert. So we'll definitely have to talk about that after this.
For sure.
Thank you so much. Be sure to hit that follow button so you get notified when all of our new episodes release. Please share this with that friend who's clueless about digital marketing. And don't forget to visit digitalmarketer.com, where you can access all of our courses, certifications, and training programs. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.